Due to the graphic nature of this program, viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to the Marco Dre Show, everybody. It is Thursday, November 6, 2025. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in today's show to hear all the relevant groundbreaking news here in America and around the world, the only show where the facts are facts and hard truths thrive. Please don't forget to follow that show, everybody. I know a lot of you have been doing that. I appreciate you so much. But share it with whomever needs to hear the truth so we can unwoke America together. I appreciate you, as always. It's now time for the best hour radio has to offer. Uncensored and ready to go. Let's hit the ground running today on this Thursday as our week slowly comes to an end. You know, President Trump took to Truth Social yesterday, and he made this following statement that I really align with. I want you all to hear this. Take a listen. He says, the unconstitutional redistricting vote in California is a giant scam, and that the entire process, in particular the voting itself, is rigged. So I read this yesterday. I said, okay, well then why doesn't he do something about it? I've been saying this for months now. I mean, he went on and on about the 2020 election, okay? So why not forensic audit every single state that does not require a voter ID? There's many of them. Why not do it? What's he waiting for? If he knows it's been rigged, and he is the commander-in-chief, why is he not doing anything about this? This is the big question right now. I mean, if it's this apparent, if it's the elephant in the room, let's get to work on this. Let's fix the problem. And again, it's his job to help fix this. At least it should be. So we think. Many of you probably think things, in terms of voting in this country are simply all fine and well. We have, the safest, freest elections on the planet Earth. That's not entirely true. These machines can be rigged. Now, most of you probably don't know that, but yes, they can be rigged. And if you've been following the show for quite some time, you know that I've been talking about this for some time now. Yes, electronic voting machines that are plugged in the internet can be rigged. It's not an impossibility. So why don't we do things that safeguard our voting rights for everybody? Who could argue with this, that we have free and fair elections? It doesn't make any sense to think the opposite of this. Everyone should have a paper ballot. Everyone should have the ability to take home a copy of how they voted. And they should be able to go online, or they should be able to go to their precinct after the election and see how their vote tallies into that precinct, how that precinct tallies into that county, how the county tallies into the state. What's wrong with this? Who would be opposed to this? And you can go and say, okay, I was voter number 95. Okay, let's see how voter number. Okay, yep, I voted for this. Okay, I voted for this prop, this judge, whatever the hell it is. Oh, and I was the 10th person in the district. I mean, I could go back and look at how everyone else voted too. And you tally this up. But you have the ability to go and check how you voted. Who could argue with this? And again, you have to keep a copy of your ballot, of course. That way if there's something wrong, you say, hey, listen, this is my carbon copy that was put in the machine. Why is this not equating online what I wrote here? What's going on here? You can challenge it. And there should be people ready to help out with that process. I want to play you a computer program named Clinton Eugene Curtis, who testified in 2004 that, yes, indeed, you can go in and rig these machines. Let's take a listen.
I'm a programmer. I worked for NASA, worked for ExxonMobil, worked for Department of Transportation.
Mr. Curtis, are there programs that can be used to secretly fix elections?
Yes.
How do you know that to be the case?
Because in October of 2000, I wrote a prototype for President Congressman Tom Feeney at the company I worked for in Oviedo, Florida, that did just that.
And when you say did just that, it would rig an election?
It would flip the vote 51-49 to whoever you wanted it to go to and whichever race you wanted to win.
And would that program that you designed be something that elections officials that might be on county boards of elections could detect?
They'd never see it.
So how would such a program, a secret program that fixes the election, how could it be detected?
You would have to view it either in the source code, or you'd have to have a receipt and then count the hard paper against the actual vote total. Other than that, you won't see it.
Okay. This is why I'm saying there needs to be forensic audits of these elections. So you heard him straight out. You need either a source code or you need to go back in and obviously do everything by hand and count the ballots. Remember we heard about this in Arizona? I think it was in 2022, if I'm not mistaken. One of the counties in Arizona, I think it was Cochise County. Don't quote me on it. So it was one of the counties. And they were using electronic voting machines, but they wanted to go through afterwards and make sure that the votes that were cast equated to what the machines were telling them. They said no. They literally said no, not to do this. They were going to sue the county if they did this. And of course, obviously, it went away. I think it was in 2022. It could have been in 2024. I don't think so, though. I don't think so. It's either one of those two elections, though. But they wanted to ensure voter integrity. They wanted to make sure that it was a free and fair election, that the results the machines were giving them matched what was being put in the machines. And again, to me, there's nothing wrong with this. Why would we not want to check this? Who could possibly be opposed to this except people that are cheating in these elections? So, you know, I see these things, I hear these things. It really doesn't make any sense to me what we're seeing in this California election, particularly. I talked with you yesterday about what was going on and my questions about the news that was being reported at the time. Now, at one point, again, this account on one of the social media platforms was saying that 21.5% had reported of the precincts, and that equated to 4.8 million votes. Well, folks, that's the overall then. If that's about 20% of the vote, I think, times that by 5 pretty much, almost. You have almost 22 million people voting in this election. There's only 22.9 million registered voters in the state of California. You're telling me 90, I think it was 98%, if that figure was correct. So then the next day I go on and I check the actual, again, this was published from the Secretary of State's website of California, Shirley Weber. So I go on to her website the next day and it says the voter turnout was 35.1%. Well, that's totally different than what the information was given the day before. And again, what's really odd too, of the, I think it was 22, again, I think it's 22.9 million or maybe just over 23 million. I forget. Either or, it's a large number. The number that they were giving didn't match up to, again, what was being counted by the Associated Press. So according to the Associated Press, I think it was like 75% was in. And the overall figure, based on what was counted already, differed from what the Secretary of State's website said. They said that there was just about over 8 million votes cast. But the AP website, it was saying that based on what was given, 75% meant that there was a total number of, I believe, 10.7 million votes cast. So what's going on here? You have two totally different things being said. And of course, they blame Republicans. Republicans just sat at home. Well, that's probably true in most cases. But how are we getting such varying information about who's voting in these elections? And again, in a state where you don't have to show any type of voter ID. Actually, Gavin Newsom made it illegal for any county, any precinct, any city to do this. Isn't that interesting? They made it illegal to make sure that you show a form of identification to prove that you are who you say you are when you vote in a national and statewide election. Crazy stuff, huh? Well, U.S. News had this article. I don't know when it was from exactly, but it says about 9 in 10 voters in California said that, generally speaking, each state's congressional district lines should be drawn by a nonpartisan commission. This is what the whole election was on. 9 out of 10? I saw one stat that said a 92% of Californians didn't even want this to happen. They were opposed to it. They didn't want a redistricting. They didn't want any type of supermajority to come in and draw these maps over again. But we just drew them in 2021. The state's lost population. What is this? But according to this, a majority nevertheless backed Prop 50 somehow. to replace the existing districts with new maps crafted by a gentleman named Paul Mitchell, who's a consultant to this redistricting nonsense. Again, to send more California Democrats, as if we already haven't sent enough, to the House of Representatives. Of the 52 congressional seats, only 9 of them are held by Republicans in a state that's roughly 40% Republican. Make that make sense. So much for democracy, right, folks? And again, you go to Illinois, 45% of the state votes Republican. Excuse me. It's about 3 seats, I think, of the 17 they have. Oh, I'm sure that's indicative of the entire representation, right? Go to Massachusetts, go to Connecticut, 0 congressional seats going to the District of Criminals. You tell me how that's fair. It's absurd, folks. It's really absurd when you think about it. And then these are the people saying that Donald Trump is trying to rig democracy in a state where you have 0 representation. 0. I think New Mexico's the same thing. 0 representation. The state votes 45% Republican. You're telling me these districts aren't already gerrymandered? Come on. Let's be honest with ourselves. These are already well, and again, California too. I know it's a nonpartisan commission. Most of the people on it are probably lefties or left-leaning Republicans. I mean, Rick Caruso, for God's sakes, who's championing Prop 50's supposed to be a Republican. He runs as a Democrat for mayor of Los Angeles. I mean, so you have to understand who this is. You're not getting a staunch conservative writing these districts. And again, we've already seen how this election process works, where they're counting these districts for weeks after the election closes. Most people are probably long forgotten. They see what they see on election night and think, oh, yeah, okay, whatever. And they don't ask any questions. They don't look at it. It doesn't make any sense. At 8:01 p.m., you know exactly who won the presidency. You know exactly who won the U.S. Senate race, unequivocally. No doubt whatsoever. But your 750,000 congressional district, that takes you weeks to count for some reason. Somebody answer that to me. Again, it makes absolutely no sense. Now, roughly 7 in 10 Californians said that their party in control of Congress was very important to them. So it doesn't have anything to do with, really, the idea of redistricting. But this is, again, a power play. That's what it comes down to. It's a power play. Now, does that mean it swayed their vote to vote otherwise? I don't know. I mean, if you ask me, I would have said no to the first part. I would say, yes, it does matter who, it's obviously important, who goes to the House. That's important to me. But here we go. We see these irregularities. We see these polling in such a way. And it's looking like it's going to come out to what I said it was going to be yesterday on the show. 61, 62% to 38, 39%. It always ends up that way in these highly contested ballot initiatives. I want to play for you one woman, though, whose mother voted in California in person on Election Day. Okay, and I want you to understand the context of what's going on here. This is what she experienced when she went to a voting poll. Get a little of this.
So I have a crazy story about voting in California. I voted by mail, so no biggie, but my mom went and voted in person. And the guy pulls up the, screen for her or whatever of what you're supposed to vote. And it's only coming up, yes. And my mom's like, this is not giving me a voting option. And he's like, yeah, you just press that button. And she's like, no, that's not what I want to vote. Like, it's not giving me another option. It's only saying yes. And he was like, well, that's just hit that button and that's your vote. She's like, no. They had to call somebody else over, and she was like, excuse me, I'm not getting an option on what to vote for. So the lady had to back out and re-go in and set her up where it'll say yes or no. But the guy was only setting her up for yes. Tell me how that's not fully rigged. Gavin Newsom be up to some shady stuff, because the guy literally only gave her the option to vote yes. My 78-year-old mom. Thank goodness she's wise and savvy, and she was like, no, and no, sir. But tell me they ain't rigging the election. Give me a break.
It's unbelievable. Now, he probably thought she's, an elderly old woman. Oh, yeah, here's how you vote. Just hit that button. She walks away. Oh, okay, all right, yeah, good. Is that what I'm supposed to pick? Same thing with the ballot harvesting. Same thing, they go into nursing homes. They take the ballots probably from people. Oh, what do you want? You want yes or no? Oh, whatever. Yeah, okay. They fill it out and bring it in. Oh, you don't want to use your ballot? Okay, let me just take it from you. We have no idea who's voting in these elections. Absolutely no idea. And by the way, the no on the election, if you were mailing it in, there was a circle in the envelope so you could kind of peel away the envelope a little bit and see exactly if someone wrote no or not. So they could just discard it. Oh, yeah, you voted on this day. Yeah, we received it on this day. Okay, yeah, it's in the trash. We have to get free and fair elections, folks. It's the only way we can survive as a nation. And when we see stuff like this, when we see that, minutes after the polls close, they're already calling these news organizations are calling these elections. It should be the state of California is presenting the information directly, and then it is called when it is won. And by that means, I mean every single damn vote is counted. None of this, we're 35% in. It looks like the Democrats going to win. Looks like a yes on Prop 50. Oh, looks like Kamala Harris won by a landslide. What the hell is this? And again, I'd say the same damn thing if I was a Democrat in an election, seeing things like this. Minutes after the polls close, we already know who won? Minutes, not even a minute. 8:01 p.m. a year ago in November. Kamala Harris, Adam Schiff, same thing in Oregon, same thing in Washington. No one says a damn thing about the states again. Okay, looks like it's been called. Who's calling it? This is what I know. Who's calling it with 0% of the precincts reporting? 0. You can't make this stuff up enough, folks. By the way, speaking of California, Nancy Pelosi, this is in CBS News. Yep, the crime broadcasting station itself. Yep. Former House Speaker to retire from Congress after this term. Wow, hey. Good job, Nancy. Way to go. You've enriched yourself by, tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars through your insider trading. And has the country gotten better since Nancy Pelosi's been in office? I want to ask you that. Be real with me. Has the country gotten better? She entered, I believe, in June of 87. If my memory serves me correctly. The current member of Congress passed away. There was a special election, and she won that. And she's been in there ever since 1987, generally unopposed. No one's challenged her. A couple of people tried to. They never succeed, of course. But she's been there for roughly 40 years. It's a long time. It's a very long time to be in office, obviously. But has the country gotten better? Has the country improved? Even for Democrats. Has the country improved for Democrats? I mean, again, I'd have to tell you, I don't think so. But this is what we have for leadership, folks. This is what we have. People enriching themselves. They don't give anything back to their communities. Look at San Francisco since she's been in Congress. It's a cesspool today. Absolute cesspool. You have drug addicts at bus stops where kids get on the buses. You have a poop map so you can figure out not to step in crap in the streets. Homelessness, drug use. Well overpriced housing. My goodness. It's unbelievable. In order to get a home in California, this is the damn honest truth here. Again, I checked this a couple of years ago. I'm sure it's higher now. But I think it was around 2020, 2021. I looked up the stat. You needed to buy any home in California is over $1 million, by the way. Excuse me, in San Francisco. You needed at least to show you had $315 million of income. And of course, you have to put money down, so you have to have that money saved up for, again, a house over $1 million. Think about 3.5% of that. Who's got the money to do that, folks? What middle-class families can be able to afford a home there? You're not. You're simply not. You're going to be renting your entire life if you can even be lucky enough to do that in San Francisco. They've made it completely unaffordable. And now, you're seeing a mass exodus out of San Francisco. A complete mass exodus out of the city. A beautiful city, too, by the way. I've never been there, but again, you look at pictures, you look at anything of the scenery. It was once a vibrant place. It was a living, wonderful place. It was a relic of California. And now you look at it, it's just decadent. It's destroyed. It's gone. It's a former shell of its former self. Like, what do you have there for jobs? You have, what? Restaurants? Tourism? That's it? Maybe some financial sectors? That's it? Really? Well, obviously, you have some big tech people that live in the city. That's it, though. There's no middle class there anymore. In fact, there's more pets now that are owned in San Francisco than there are children being born. That's an indication of a dying society. What's Nancy done about that to make it easier for families to have children, by the way? She had 5 children back in the 60s, I think early 70s. So it's a completely different place. The state itself is a completely different place, of course. It's been run into the ground by Democrats for decades now. And it will not get any better. So what is her legacy going to be? What is it actually going to be? When we look back on this, what, the first female Speaker of the House? So what? What the hell's that got to do with anything if you do a crappy job? If you only just enriched yourself? What the hell's that got to do? What has this representative done to make America or San Francisco or California a better place? I really want you to tell me, because I can't think of a damn thing she's done. No, I'll give it to her that she's a worker, though. She knows how to maneuver. She knows how to get bills passed. She knows how to go on the news and lie to you with a big smile on her face. But, there's no legacy here, folks. There's nothing here. That's just the truth. She's no Tip O'Neill. She's no Sam Rayburn. She's no Newt Gingrich. What is she? What is this woman? It's just really sad when we have representatives that do not represent us. And yet she'll be held in high prestige in San Francisco and California, probably in D.C. too. They'll make some big deal about her at some point. But she's 85 years old. She'll be 86 next year. So by the time she gets out of office, she'll roughly be almost 87 years old. Maybe Muddy Waters Maxine will jump out of the Congress too. Maybe. Waters is older than her too. I think Waters is 87 right now. It's unbelievable. They just stay there forever. They grift. Look at Bernie Sanders. Same damn thing. What's he done to make anyone's life better? Name it. I want to hear it. Name it. What has Bernie Sanders done to make life better? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Same thing with Waters. Nothing. She was my congresswoman for several years. Did nothing for my community. Not a damn thing. But they get back in office. They enrich themselves. They live high on the hog. And you're supposed to clap every time you see them with this adulation. And by the way, don't think that it's just mutually exclusive to Democrats. There are do-nothing Republicans as well. There's plenty of rhinos out there that do absolutely nothing. But, it's big news. Nancy Pelosi leaving Congress. I mean, she's been there basically since I've been alive. It's unbelievable. It really is unbelievable. Okay, so here's the thing, though. Here's why I brought this up. This is important to understand, too. Everyone's cheering about, yay, she's leaving, finally. Never forget this. The next person that replaces her, that comes into the seat that's going to be there probably for the rest of their life, just so we're clear on this, is going to be about 100 times worse than what she does. It's just going to be worse. You're going to have possibly a Scott Wiener has talked about running. He's this LGBTQ warrior, anti-parental rights, pro-LGBT, LGBTQ, XYZ, WTUV group, all this nonsense. Safeguards for pedophiles. I mean, it's just sickening. It's total debauchery. It's sickness. It really is. He's eyeing the seat. You have AOC's former campaign manager. I think his name is Charabatri or something like that. Something. I don't know what the hell he is. Who cares? He's a computer scientist and now living in San Francisco. Who cares? He'll be another radical justice warrior. What is they called? The Justice Democrats, right? This whole group that kind of pushes all these far left Democrats. They're really communists is what they are. He's eyeing the seat too. Just understand. Whoever replaces her will be about 100 times worse than she is. And again, they'll get that seat and they will stay in that seat forever and ever. So, if you think Nancy's bad, you haven't seen anything yet out of San Francisco, folks. Trust me on this one. Whoever they get in there is going to be 100 times worse. I mean, it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. Okay, well, Good for hey, good for her though. She's she's finally leaving. What's she gonna do with herself? Count her millions of dollars? God, by the time 86. By the time she counts it all, my God, she'll never get through all of it. All right. Anyways, good for her though. Her and the husband made a lot of money, and the idiots of San Francisco kept electing her. Good for them. Okay, good. Let's go back into this Reuters article I have for you. It says Mamdani wins over New York with bold vision that galvanized young voters. I want to go over this again with you. It's very important to understand what happened on election night, of course. Again, it wasn't really a shock that he won. We were all hoping he wasn't going to win, but of course it wasn't a shock that he became victorious. But he finished the evening, late on Tuesday evening, after winning the race. He's got a small crowd of people gathered with him on stage and everything like that, right? His mother and father, wonderful. And he starts making this speech about, good luck to Andy Cuomo, hope I never have to hear him again and talk to him again, all this other nonsense. But then he ends by, he doesn't end, but he's talking, he says, I will do everything for the immigrants. This was a city built by immigrants and a city now run by an immigrant. And everyone's cheering, of course, because they're all dunces. But this is the start of it, folks. This is the start of it. You're going to have a candidate that protects the illegal aliens. He also has been talking about already that he's not going to cooperate with ICE. He's going to arrest ICE agents now. That's amazing to me. The mayor of New York City thinks he has jurisdiction over federal agents. It's ridiculous. These people are morons. And yet he's the mayor of the biggest financial sector in the world. Is a ardent communist now. Wonderful. Okay, well, whatever. Good for the young voters. But why did the young voters turn out for this guy? Because he's young like them? I don't think so. I don't think it's just that. I think he gave this progressive message that really energized New Yorkers. We had the biggest turnout, I think, since 1969, 2 million voters. Usually get about 25, 26, 23% of the, total electorate voting. But you had a surge of people going to the polls for him, and you have to understand why this is. Why did this happen? And in large in part is because it's so expensive to live in New York City. People can't make it in New York City alone. You move to New York City, you get there, you try to make things work. You can't do it, by and large. It's the number one worst place, besides San Francisco, for rent and housing. It's really what it is. It's the most expensive place to live in the country. But, we have... I've been looking at these charts, and they're showing white women aged 18 to 29. Okay, so just right out of high school, right out of college, just starting off, overwhelmingly voted for Mamdani. And, it's 84%. It's a lot, obviously. 84% of them voted for Mamdani. 30 to 44, 65%. Then you had women 45 to 64, 42%. Okay. It wasn't much better among 18 and 29-year-olds for men. 68%. That's still a lot. It's a big chunk. Men 30 to 44, 66%. And men 45 to 64 years of age, 45%. So what's happening here? And of course, as men 65 and older, 36%. So as it goes on, and again, you see this with women over 65, 18%. What's happening here? Why are the young people going out in droves and voting for this schmuck? I mean, he's already asking for more money. He's saying, hey, don't forget, you still donate to my campaign. Anything he'll do to enrich himself. Because a lot of the things he said, he's not going to be able to deliver to the people. Just to be honest with you. Most of the things that we're, fearful of, okay, free bus rides, okay, that's going to be costly. He's going to raise 2% taxes on the wealthiest people in the city. That's going to drive people out of the city. I've already explained to you multiple times, 1 million people already said that their eyes are set on leaving. You had the FDNY fire commissioner already resign the moment he was deemed to be the mayor. What's happening right now, though? That's what you got to ask yourself. Why is this happening? Why are the young kids going out in droves, coming out there? Why are they aligning with this guy who's trying to offer them something for nothing? And a lot of it comes down to, again, it's a simple term. At any election, it's the economy, stupid. That's what it comes down to. They have no future. They have no opportunities. There's nothing there for them to earn a living. They're barely making it. They're deciding if they're going to pay rent or if they're going to buy food. It gets that bad. And of course, utilities are up. So the economy is a problem in New York City. The economy is a problem in America right now. It's kind of stagnant right now. Again, a lot of it had to do with 4 years of the Biden administration being completely stagnant, very little job growth, very little GDP growth. So what you're seeing though, is a lack of opportunity. These people don't see a future for themselves. They're unsure of their future for themselves. So who do they turn to? The guy with the big smile saying, hey, free childcare. Hey, free bus ride on me. All right, come on. You're not going to pay a word, anything for it. You're not paying at all for it. Not $1. I'll pay for it. Well, hey, free childcare. Hey, we're going to get some, freeze that rent. We're going to freeze the rent. It's going to be good. Your rent's not going to go up, even though it's already exorbitantly high, which again, when that ever gets lifted, it's going to go skyrocketing, just so everyone's aware of that. City-run groceries, what's that going to entail? Do I just get to go in and just throw everything in my car and just walk right out and I'm just happy as can be, happy as a clam? I mean, the price of food is up across America right now. Now, there are certain supply chain issues for that. There's also other reasons as well. So, when food is up, when energy is up, all these problems, people are going to look to someone who's, going to try to address them in a way that Cuomo, Sliwa didn't do. And again, they're not wrong to point out that guy has no experience, because he has no experience. But he was addressing the issues with them. This is what I want to make clear to you. He was addressing their issues. They don't like high rent. They can't afford it. They don't like high grocery prices. They can't afford it. They don't like high energy costs. They can't afford it. They can't put their kids in childcare because they can't afford it. This is the problem. So he's going through all these things, like free this, free that, free that. Everyone's saying, oh, thank God, free this. That means I can have some more money to do something else. I read to you yesterday from Lou Rockwell via Ron Paul. Roughly a third of Americans can't even afford to take a vacation anymore. So we see the American dream slipping away. And this is what the key takeaway of this is. They don't see the American dream as viable for them. So he's the knight in shining armor, even though he's a putz. Even though he's not going to deliver, he's saying things that they like. They resonate with this. They understand this. And of course, you've had years of brainwashing that, democratic socialism this, democratic socialism that. Really, he's a communist is what it comes down to, because all socialism leads to communism. Just look at what Lenin said about that. But he's speaking their language. This is why they like him. And this is why he won. That's what it comes down to. That's why he won this election. He hit some heavy points. The rent's high. The food's high. The cost of the subways, the cost of the bus rides are always high. He's going to get less police off the street because, of course, they're, discriminatory to, minority groups, even though that's a bunch of crap because whites are the biggest minority in New York City, in every city in America. Did you know that? Did he say anything during his speech about protecting the minority rights of whites or the American citizen? No, everything was about immigrants and illegal aliens, which he meshes together, of course. So he's not going to work with ICE. He's going to let, probably less police on the streets. Understand that. So you're going to have a lot of crime. He's going to tax the people that create the jobs in the city, right? And they're probably going to skip town. They're going to leave. They're going to go to other parts of New York, probably to Florida, probably other places. Where again, they're not dealing with this crap. Think Tennessee, think, Florida, of course, is going to be one of them. There's this mass exodus that's going to occur out of New York City, folks. And then how's he going to do it then? Well, he's going to have to go to Kathy Hochul, should she stay in office, and he's going to have to raise taxes on everybody. So everyone's going to be paying for the so-called taxpayer-funded, not free, stuff that this guy is offering. By the way, we've never seen city grocery stores or government-run grocery stores ever last very long. So if you think you're going to go in and get something for nothing there, or things are going to be ultra cheap, it's only going to be for some time before it completely falls in and of itself. But nevertheless, it's interesting to me because a lot of people who have these issues with the economy, with crime, and obviously public safety and what have you, this guy's trying to get rid of police. He's trying to get less police out of the streets. This is what he wants. He doesn't even want police, by the way. He's said it in the past. He doesn't like police. Flips off the Christopher Columbus statue. He was arrested, I think, one time for accosting police officers or something of the nature. This guy doesn't like law and order. And now he's in charge of your city, folks. So expect that crime rate to go up. Expect it to become a bastion for illegal aliens. That's obviously going to happen. But I want to play you some people that were elated that this dunce won yesterday. These are the young women that went out and cast their votes for Mamdani. I understand who they are.
Sharia law starts now. Absolutely. Zohran Mamdani, Islamic Caliphate, our brother in Islam, Islamic Caliphate of New York, starts today, baby.
God, there is just something so electric, so satisfying about knowing that my MAGA parents, wherever they are probably having a horrible night tonight. Oh, I literally just got goosebumps thinking about it. Like, they are in such a bad mood, probably, about the fact that Zoran just won and Prop 50 is gonna pass. Like, wow. God, I'm sorry. It just makes me feel good that my MAGA parents are probably upset right now.
When the day starts with Dick Cheney being dead, it ends with Mamdani winning. Oh, yes. Oh. I'm so happy. Oh, my God.
Okay, so that gives you a little rundown of the low IQs that have been voting for Mamdani, of course. This is what we're dealing with right now. This is what you're dealing with. You have young women who are dumb beyond all measure, voting out of emotion. Oh, he's not a white guy, so therefore he's, this perfect candidate, of course. He's young. He's not this old white guy like a Cuomo or a Sliwa. So therefore he's got to be fantastic. It's going to be wonderful. He's going to understand every issue I have. And we're going to have the free transportation. Only the millionaires are going to get taxed, even though that's never the way it always works. You know they did that with the federal income tax in America? Did you know that? They said only the really wealthy people are going to be taxed for their wages. Not you, the average citizen. And what happened? About a decade later, well, they started taxing your wages. And that's illegal, by the way, per the Constitution. You're not supposed to be taxed by your wages. But this is exactly what's happened. And by the way, I don't think any of these women who are wearing Mamdani shirts, want Sharia law to be implemented in the city of New York, just because they'd be covered head to toe. I don't think they like that, would they, folks? What do they call it, a hijab? I don't even know what they call it. I think that's what it's called, a hijab. You think women in New York City are going to want to dress like that and act like that? Yeah, I think they bit off more than they can chew, folks. Just my thought on this. But like anytime these things happen, of course, you start to see the breakdown of the city. And that's exactly what's going to happen very soon. Once he takes office, it'll start off okay, right? He'll say, I'm getting to work for you, New York City, fantastic. The problem is it's not going to work. He doesn't have the funds for it. He's already scrambling to get more money right away. And he's not speaking about American citizens. That's the biggest draw of this as well. So, glad we all understand that. And again, in the end, this is what the end result's going to be.
I, the undersigned, shall forfeit all rights, privileges, and licenses herein contained, etc., fax mentis incendium gloria culpum, etc., memo bis punitor delicatum. It's all there, black and white, clear as crystal. You stole fizzy lifting drinks. You bumped into the ceiling, which now has to be washed and sterilized, so you get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
There you go. That's what's going to be the end result of Mamdani. Just so we're all clear on that. Yep, that's the end result of it all, folks. Everything's going to be crumbling. And of course, he'll blame somebody else. Democrats. The next radical candidate that comes through, they'll vote for them. Same process over and over again. Nothing changes, but the people running sound really good. No, they're not going to hold his feet to the fire. They're just going to praise him. Anyone that calls out against him, he'll shout racism. He'll shout Islamophobia. We're already seeing that in Dearborn, Michigan, happening right now. All these great things. All these great cities. Once great cities. Absolutely destroyed. It's sad. It's sad to see that. It's sad to see the hub of America now being destroyed right in front of your eyes. Okay, so Paul Greg Roberts, my God, he always has great articles. I've always got to read them to you because they're fantastic. This article he wrote yesterday, it says, Societal Death by Feminization. What is this all about? Well, he starts off by saying, he's speaking about this writer, and he basically says that Helen Andrews wrote an important article, The Great Feminization, thus saving me the effort to explain it all. But he goes on to say, Andrews writes that the feminist attack on Summers, who was this Harvard University president, changed the way she changed the way that she viewed the world, right? And he was canceled. They canceled him. The faculty canceled him as president for expressing the truths. So anyone who speaks the truth, the radical feminists are going to come after you, is what he's trying to say here. But she saw it as the birth of the wokeness, this idea of the demographic of feminization. Now, females emote, males reason, is what he goes on to say. A concentration of females lead to emotion regardless of fact prevailing over reason and analysis. Now, that's not true of every woman, of course. But the large majority of women do this sometimes. They act out of emotion. And again, that's because of their nurturing nature. You know, something happens, they run to it, they're concerned, we got to do something. Men respond differently in situations. It's just the way it is. That's how we're wired, folks. It's not to insult anybody. That's just the way we're wired. Now, does that mean it's indicative of all women? Of course not. But this is the symbol of our era. Facts no longer matter. So if it, sounds good, we go with it. Doesn't matter if it works or not. Doesn't matter if Mamdani's plans work. As long as it sounds good to me, I'll vote for it. Doesn't matter if it's economical or if it even is logical. We're going to vote for this candidate. Even if it has been tried times before, it hasn't worked. You see what I'm trying to say here? There's reason and analysis. There's logic. There's common sense about how things work. And there are certainly laws to how economics works. And of course, there's the feel good. Oh, everything's going to be free. Everything's going to work out. Everything's going to be wonderful. We'll tax this. We'll tax that. We'll tax here. Not you. We'll tax everybody else. And of course, it's going to work out fine. Utopia as we know it. But the feminization of society has destroyed the influence of facts. Now, Andrews reports that law schools became majority female in 2016, with dire consequences for the law. Journalism became majority female in 2018, with the consequence that emotional commitments have replaced objective reporting. Absolutely. Or what little of it has survived the liberal bias. I think we can all agree on that. Medical schools became majority female in 2019. Women became a majority of the college-educated workforce nationwide in 2019. Women became a majority of college instructors in 2023. Now, women are not yet a majority of the managers in America, but that soon might be. It soon might happen, as they are now 46%, so the time seems very fitting. But however, wokeness now arose around the same time that the most important institutions tipped demographically from majority male to majority female. And why is that? Well, because they push women that way. Schools are made by in part to favor women. That's just the way it is. And again, I remember when I was teaching out in the great state of California, one of the schools I was at, this is true, by the way, they had engineers coming to the school I was teaching at. But it was only geared for women to go here and listen. It wasn't geared towards the boys. In fact, none of those opportunities came to the boys at all. And I thought to myself, that's weird. Why wouldn't you offer it to anyone who's interested in being an engineer? Why would you just limit it to females? Because that's the push. That's the push. And I know this because the principal at the meeting said, I'm sure they're underrepresented. Okay, so we're overrepresented? Then the men are underrepresented. What does that mean? Then you try to say something like there would be some type of pay diversity in there, or what do they call it? Inequalities of pay, or whatever they say about that. They try to say that it's men earn more than women, which again is illegal by law. So if that was happening, you could sue the hell out of people that were doing that. But that's not really the case, and we know that. The great Tom Sowell has talked about it in depth many decades ago and debunked that stupidity that women earn less than men. It's just moronic. And again, it can be summed up so easily too, folks. If women were paid less than men and were doing the exact same work as men, why wouldn't any company just hire all women and save money? And they can't answer that, of course. It's not wealth inequality. It's the gender pay gap. That's the woke term for it. Yeah, gender pay gap. There you go. Just came to me. I try to forget about these moronic terms, but of course it came back to me. So Andrew sees this as a problematic future, of course. If wokeness really is the result of the Great Feminization, then the eruption of insanity in 2020 was just a small taste of what the future holds. Now imagine what will happen as the remaining men age out of these society-shaping professions and the younger, more feminized generations take full control. We're already living in a world where in-group consensus can suppress unpopular facts. So we have the rule of law will no longer survive. The legal profession, if it becoming a majority female, emoting will lead to judgments based on what the feminine female's sentiments resides. At the moment, it resides with black criminals instead of the victims. We've seen that time and time again. And of course, with the illegal aliens instead of the United States citizens. Just look no further than Mamdani, right? Same thing. Those are the people that are clapping for him. They think everything's fantastic. Now, increasingly, though, men are more feminized, and of course, men are more accustomed to living under governments headed by women, especially in Europe. Look at several different nations that do so. I mean, look who runs the EU. Ursula von der Leyen, who destroyed the German military, and yet somehow she leads. She leads NATO. Excuse me. Right. I think she runs NATO. Either NATO or the EU. They're both interchangeable, really, when it comes down to it. I think it's the EU, though. Don't quote me on that. But this is a woman who's destroyed the German military, yet she's making decisions for all these different nations that bind under this term EU, right? The European Union. So we see the collapse of rational, merit-based society. We see this in America, too. As the remaining men age out of these societal shaping professions, and the younger generations more feminized, right? The females, they start to take control. And of course, the men don't put up any type of effort because that would be sexist, of course. So a society in which in-group consensus can suppress unpopular facts is a society divorced from reality. The few men who remain are driven away by imposing feminine norms on previously male institutions. This, it seems, is the future of all Western societies. And he closes by saying, the video I posted recently of the female head of the Canadian Armed Forces crying about racism in the Canadian military is a picture of our future. He's totally right about all this, too. Everything is geared so women take over. That's what it comes down to. And nobody says a damn thing about this. But this has been the push since the 1960s. They want more women in the workforce. They want more women there. Why do they want more women there? Because they want more representation? Actually, folks, it's because they want to tax more people. They want to tax more people. And as a result of that, we get the term toxic males. Men can't be societal decision makers anymore. It's got to be women now. Remember, Nancy Pelosi even said that more women should be in roles in Congress. Then everything will be just fine, even though things aren't just fine. They've gotten worse. So we have the replacement of men, particularly the white male, by women. And again, it's dramatically reduced the birth rate in Western societies. No one says a damn thing about that but me and a couple other people. We see women choosing a career over motherhood. which then calls in for the intensely non-white immigration to fill the gap from the declining white birth rate. All done by design. Don't think it's not. And again, if this trend continues, what we're going to have is the white ethnicity simply disappear. Yep, just goes right away. And it seems that, seems like that's the case, folks, because that's the way society's pushing you. That's the way school's teaching you how to think. They favor the women over the boys. That's just the way it is. And again, it goes to my example of the school I was teaching at, encouraging only the women to go listen to how to become an engineer and doing nothing for the boys. So this is how they're pushed. Women are brilliant, women are great, boys, you can be something else. Who cares? That's what it comes down to. But, people have been spitting on our country for quite some time, right? Like this leftist podcaster, Jennifer Welch, who's bashing crusty white people at the Mamdani Victory Party, saying that the United States has no culture except for multiculturalism, which is amazing to me. This is, I guess, a reality TV star. I've never heard of this woman till I saw this. Thank God. She's not a very good sight to look at either. Just thought I'd share that with you. Yes, of course. Okay. So anyways, white people have no culture worth mentioning and should subject themselves to clamorous, contradictory, and pre-modern demands of multicultural migrants, is what General Welch said. A leading Democratic podcast. Who the hell listens to this podcast, by the way? Except ignoramuses like the ones that voted for Mamdani. Probably that's it. And I'm going to play you a clip. It's hard to hear the very beginning, but you'll get the gist of it. She's speaking to Mehdi Hassan of Al Jazeera, who agrees with her in this statement, and she's surrounded by two other people. Looks like people of color, I think is the proper term they want me to use. Let's take a listen.
I've grown up in those circles. Everybody needs some spice and some color in their lives. Life's a lot better. That's the coolest thing about Americans. Americans have no culture except for multiculturalism.
Well said.
And we need to teach people how to embrace that. These crusty white people need to learn how to embrace it.
So you heard what she said. She says it makes you something like something. If it was all white people here right now, it'd be boring as blank. I've grown up in those circles. Everybody needs some spice and some color in their lives. Life's a lot better. The coolest thing about Americans is multiculturalism. Okay. I don't understand what she's referring to there. In terms of culture, what culture are they sharing with us in America that is so beneficial to us? If that would be the case, we'd be booming right now, wouldn't we? There wouldn't be any issues anywhere. So she's spitting on the white culture, the white ethnicity, of course, saying that we have no culture. We've only created the best society civilization's ever seen. That's done by white men. She'd probably call them crusty old white men, I'm sure. But, this racial dismissal of white Americans, rich culture, our history, of course, is notable probably because, she doesn't either like white people or she thinks she gets some type of grift on her podcast for saying this about white people. But the culture has provided hundreds of millions of Americans with unprecedented prosperity, freedoms we've never seen in the world before, security we once had until Joe Biden, of course, opened up our southern border, and, of course, influence in the world. So what is she talking about? And, of course, this article neglects the fact, of course, we're talking about the Protestant Catholic work ethic in this country, which largely came out of Europe. Didn't come out of the Middle East or Africa or South America. Now that people don't come here to work in those areas of the world, but that's what built the nation. Those are the values in which the country was created on. You dunce you. Now again, I'll argue with if you go to London, you'll see different things, different architecture, different values, different things or what have you. In London, if you go to Paris, or if you go to Rome, or if you go to Berlin, or Vienna, or if you go to Moscow, or if you go to Athens, Greece, or if you go to Barcelona, Spain. I mean, all these countries, all white ethnicities, have different cultures. They have different terms of values. Of course, they have different architecture, all different things. But we're apparently missing out from somewhere. Where is this place that this great culture comes from, apparently? What are these values? She doesn't know. She can't tell us. She just knows that white men are crusty. That's really what it comes down to. Yeah, I don't know. I think if you asked her, the mind would go blank. She wouldn't know exactly what to say. But this hate of Americans, there's nothing new from these white women, right? These white liberal women. Again, these are the white liberal women that voted in Mamdani. Said, hey, everything here would be crap if it was just white people. And of course, many said, oh yeah, exactly. Okay, yeah. Both of you go to hell. How about that? How's that sound? Why don't you all get the hell out of here then, if it's so awful to live here? Why would they? So let me ask you this. If the culture here sucked so badly, as they're implying it does, and they're insinuating, why would they come here? It's an honest... Why wouldn't Jennifer Welch take her aging ass and just leave the country and go to one of these Middle Eastern countries, one of these African countries, one of these, I guess, South American countries, even though the bulk of the people that live there are also white? Just thought I'd share that with you, too. I know that's a big lie. They like to push, oh, just brown people. Okay, yeah, right. Yeah, just because someone has a little darker complexion doesn't mean they're a brown person. Just thought I'd share that, too, with you. But what's stopping her from leaving the country and, I guess, prospering somewhere else? She could do her stupid podcast there, right? And she could be around such enrichment of this culture that she's talking about that she never gives a damn example about. Yet, here they are. In fact, they come here to be trafficked in by the Mexican drug cartels. That's not a very good thing. But they're willing to risk their life to get here to this awful culture. Why? If it's such a bad culture, why is that the case? Why do people stay here? Why do people come here from 170 different countries under the Biden administration? Can someone explain that to me? Well, I think I can explain it to you. Because our culture doesn't suck, folks. We are allotted the greatest freedoms, even today, even though they're mashed up many of the times. And I'll suggest that we've lost many freedoms since our founding. We should all be very upset about. But we should be grateful we live in this country because of the freedoms we do have, because of the prosperity we do have. And we've never experienced anything like this before in society. But this is what they try to push us towards. They try to push you to hate the country. If you're a white person, you're simply not cool. You have no culture. This and that. She can't give an example. Can she point to a place where the culture there is much, much greater than in the United States? Where is this culture? And what is this culture? Who's bringing the culture? She can't do it. Again, the mind goes blank. She doesn't. If you asked her specifically, where is this great culture in which you do it? I'd be willing to make $1 million bet with each and every one of you listening that this Jennifer Welch probably lives in a mostly white neighborhood. Just thought I'd bring that up to you, too. Well, we've seen this before, too. Ilhan Omar, married to a white dude now after marrying her brother. Little odd. AOC, engaged to a white dude. Yeah, all of them. All of them. It just never ends. They spit out white people, and there they go. They're in relationships with white people. We've seen it time and time again. So again, nothing new, nothing out of the ordinary with these people. They spit on this country because they hate this country, because they're brain dead liberals. That's what it comes down to, folks. That's always what it comes down to. They've been brainwashed to hate the country, so they hate the country. And then they really can't explain themselves too well. If this was a debate, they'd get their asses kicked, as always. Oh, well. Okay, folks, thanks for being here, as always. Thanks for sharing your time with me. I appreciate you so much. Please share the show with other people so that way they can get some revelation on what's going on in society. Tomorrow I'm going to have another great show for you. We'll do our economic update. As always, we'll go down the nitty-gritty. Folks, thanks for being here. I appreciate you. I'll catch you here tomorrow on the next Mark Andre Show. Be good. Stay busy. God bless.